Hello, I'm going to be reading a story about a Halloween party in a book called Good Old Days Remembers the Little Country Schoolhouse, edited by Ken and Janice Tate. The story is from Virginia Hearn, Machir. I remember the high school party we had at Halloween when I was a sophomore at Winfield High School in Missouri. Our teacher told us there would be 3 prizes awarded for costumes: the prettiest costume, best disguise, and another for a booby prize. There also be games and refreshments. The sophomore girls were going all agog planning their costumes, but no one told anyone except her best friend what her costume was going to be, and she was sworn to secrecy. In those days, there were no trick-or-treat or store-bought costumes. Most of the students at Winfield High made their own. I decided I was going to try for the prettiest costume. My mother was very adept with the needle, and she made me a costume from orange and black crepe paper sewn into the foundation of a white cotton slip. I thought it was beautiful, with black straps across the shoulders and an orange bodice with rows of full gathered ruffles from the waist down. With this, I wore a black harlequin eye mask, big orange earrings, and black patent leather slippers with Cuban heels. I felt beautiful in my costume and told my best friend Tiny that it represented the spirit of Halloween. The decorating committee decorated the basement with dried stalks and shocks of corn and huge orange jack-o'-lanterns. Orange and black streamers of crepe paper were draped from corner to corner of the ceiling. Black cats and witches flying on brooms were cut from construction paper and attached to the ceiling and the walls. Finally, the night of Halloween party arrived. I had a date with a boy named Jack, and he brought his younger brother, Bob, and his date along. Jack drove a Model A Ford Coupe, a 1-seater. Bob wanted to drive his big brother's car, so I was forced to sit on Jack's lap. I feared my crepe paper costume would be wrinkled by the time we reached the party. When we reached high school at the party, I inspected my costume before we went in. I decided it hadn't got too wrinkled after all, even though we had been crowded in the 1-seater coupe. As we entered the basement, the hubbub of happy laughter and voices filled our ears. I looked from around and did not recognize any of my classmates. There were witches in black, ghosts in white, and gypsies were wearing bright colored skirts and blouses with dozens of colorful beads around their necks and scarves tied over their heads. There were cowboys and Indians and hobos. There were as much there was much guessing of who was who. Behind all those masks, some students never were guessed because they refused to talk and be recognized by their voices. One corner of the basement had been curtained off and transferred into a haunted house. Screeches and yells and weird noises came from the haunted house as classmates were frightened by the skeletons and witches lurking in the dark places. We bobbed for apples, and then there was the grand march for the costume judging. Everyone marched around in the circle. 3 teachers were judges. They would take the hand of one of the marchers and withdraw him from the competition. One by one, the marchers were pulled from the circle until there were only 3 other contestants besides me. My heart was beating a mile a minute, for I knew there were only 3 prizes to be given. Just then, one of the teachers grasped my arm and removed me from the circle. How? What? A tremendous disappointment. The girl who beat me out was dressed as Jean Harlow with a pretty platinum blonde wig, long, slinky blue dress, and a pretty girl's mask. She had a picture of Jean Harlow pinned to her back, and she won the prize for the prettiest costume. A boy dressed as a fat woman won the prize for the best disguise. He had refused to talk to anyone all night, and no one had been able to guess his identity. A boy in a clown suit who had entertained the crowd with handsprings and comical antics won the booby prize. Of course, I was disappointed, but I consoled myself with the thought that I had been in the running. The refreshment committee had done themselves proud. There was delicious hot spiced apple cider, as well as plates heaped high with sugary donuts and pineapple pie. We removed our masks and stuffed our face as only teenagers can do. Then it was time to go, and we bid adieu to our classmates. Everyone agreed it had been a wonderful party. We started for home in the 1-seater Model A coupe, Bob driving, his date sitting in the middle with Jack next to her and me sitting on Jack's lap. At that time, Highway 79 through Winfield was a gravel road. We had just crossed a small bridge north of Winfield, and all of us were laughing hilariously over some incident at the party, when Bob suddenly lost control of the car. The next thing we knew, we were in the loose gravel on the shoulder of the highway. Then the car rolled over the 10-foot embankment and landed on its top at the bottom of the ditch. I could hear the tinkle of broken glass and the gurgling of water or gasoline running out of the car. "Is anyone hurt?" Jack yelled. No one seemed to be. We had been going very slowly. "Turn off the motor," Jack told Bob. He turned off the motor. We opened the doors and climbed out of the upside-down automobile as best we could and stood up on the shoulder of the highway. A very subdued and frightened group. Bob had a cut on his forehead, but it wasn't serious. Then I discovered the crepe paper ruffles on my Halloween costume and had torn. One of the ruffles was hanging down to my ankles. "Thank God nobody's hurt," Jack said. About that time, a car came along the highway and stopped. It was a man from Folly Highway and stopped. It was a man from Folly who knew all of us, and he agreed to take us home, all except Jack, who stayed to look after his car and try to get it towed to a garage. When I got home, I woke Father and Mother to tell them about the accident. No, nobody was hurt, I assured them. Then Father began to laugh. "Just look at you, Halloween spirit, now." I looked down at my crepe paper costume. A 3-cornered tear in the orange crepe paper bodice left a large expanse of white cotton slip exposed. The gathered paper ruffles had come ungathered in spots, besides the one ruffle that hung to my ankles. The others hung in ragged disarray. There was a big hole in the knee of my hose where my knee had been cut. Then I discovered I had lost one of my earrings. "Oh, I lost one of my earrings," I said stupidly. "Well, you can be thankful you didn't lose one of your legs," Father said. If I live to be 100, I will never forget my crepe paper costume the night of my high school party. Happy Halloween, everybody.